This is Rock Leach with Social Fire. And in this video, we're going to talk about the allegations against Robert Morris. Now, y'all got to tell me what in the world is going on in Texas. First, we got all these allegations about Bishop T.D. Jakes, then Tony Evans stepped down, and now we add Robert Morris. You don't want to miss this video.
Now click that like button and that bell notification so you'll be notified every time we put out a new video while you prepare yourself for this video clip. And I'll come back with some commentary. Let's go.
Now, let me say this is a sad thing when this kind of thing comes forward and that it even happens at all, because all of us, if you don't have children, you have nieces, nephews who are still innocent. And God forbid, we don't want nobody who's supposed to be a trusted individual touching those who are innocent, because it has lasting impacts on them, because they haven't developed in that area of their life yet. And it's taking something from them, robbing them of their innocence. And that's why this is so bad. But Pastor Robert Morris, who's pastor of Gateway Church there in Southlake, Texas. Now, y'all know I'm from Texas, so I'm praying for everybody involved. Not that I wouldn't pray if it wasn't in Texas, but this is a little personal for me. I want Texas to do better. But let's go ahead and get into this video clip so we can come back and talk about it. Let's go.
Robert Morris, who preaches at Gateway Church in Southlake, admits he engaged in inappropriate sexual behavior, but the pastor says he was transparent, sought forgiveness and counseling before returning to the pulpit. Tonight, Matt Houston spoke to the accuser for the very first time.
Cindy Clemishire read from Genesis Sunday.
As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today.
That's the 54-year-old's prayer, that her story would bring about some good. She accuses Gateway Church pastor Robert Morris of molesting her from 1982 to 1987. The first time, she says, she was 12. Morris, a family friend, was in his early 20s, already married, already preaching.
The story is gut-wrenching when I read it on paper, and I've been sharing for years. So it just happens to be God's time, I think, for it to come to light.
In a statement, Morris admits to inappropriate sexual behavior with a young lady, though he did not reference her age. It was kissing and petting, he said, and not intercourse, but it was wrong. In 1987, Clemishire says she told a family friend who told her to tell her parents.
He didn't come forward and confess. He was turned in. And when someone's turned in, what are they sorry for? Are they sorry because they got caught? Or are they truly repentant of what they did?
That's why she takes issue with Gateway Church elders who say Morris followed proper biblical steps and a lengthy restoration process. She says her family forgave Morris, but never gave him their blessing to preach again. Morris claims they did.
I think that leaders can get caught up in feeling like it's our responsibility to protect God, and it's not. Their responsibility is to protect the people.
Gateway Church elders say since the resolution of this 35-year-old matter, there have been no other moral failures. Pastor Robert has walked in purity and has placed accountability measures and people in his life. The matter's been properly disclosed to church leadership.
That's Old Testament verse. Let me show you a New Testament verse.
Morris did not preach Saturday. He'd already announced plans to turn over church leadership to his son next spring, though he said he would continue preaching some.
Now, my prayers go out to Cindy Clemishire, I believe it's her name, and because she's alleging that this happened from 1982 to 1987, 5 years of this. And I notice how Robert Morris and the church putting out statements, and they're basically saying everything except criminal, but he did admit to everything in this regard except for penetration. Now, I don't know why, and I don't know what the point was. And I was like, well, maybe that's some kind of legal thing that's going on there, because this bad, even if he didn't say that or did, I mean, it's all bad all the way around. And just kind of looking at that, and I was just like, what would be something, because Texas is real hard on this, as with any state. But I wanted to see what would be the penalty for this, because it's just going to end up being a felony most likely. But things that, push this even further is the age of the minor. Whatever their age is, that makes the penalty stiffer. Prior convictions. And I'm going to tell you this is the problem that we have to look at. If Pastor Morris has any other inappropriate sexual things that have happened, especially in this degree, they're getting ready to come out. They're going to pile on like what happens. And if they got proof, that's going to make his penalty in this regard even worse, if he's got prior convictions or prior instances of this. And we've got to look at also a position of trust. A position of trust, when you look at those different things, that's what makes the penalty that much more stiff if you got these things that are being in place, that, you know, the child trusted them, they got prior convictions, and, you know, the age of the child. This is all bad. And supposedly this happened when she was at the age of 12. um you know, and what I noticed with the statements is that the church put out statements and they said everything except for that this is criminal. This is criminal. This is criminal. And they call her a lady, but she was a child. She said, young lady, she's a child going on. And I want y'all to look at how the church is doing damage control with their statements, and even Robert Morris, how they're doing damage control. Look at all of this. This is bad on so many levels. This is bad because this is a trusted individual. And, you know, I'm just looking at so many things because even if, let's say, even if it comes out that you know, this was, even though he didn't admitted it, so it's not going to come out to that regard, but just say someone was accused, especially a pastor is accused of this, and then it comes out legally that, you know, he didn't do it. Well, the stain of that, because there was actually an allegation of that, that pastor is now incarcerated in the prison of public opinion for the rest of his life. Everybody will say, well, he just got away with it. You know, he really was touching kids. And so it's such a damaging thing. And I worked in public education for years, and I saw teenage children lie on faculty members in this regard, you know, especially, you know, little girls being insecure. And I didn't play with that when I, you know, taught there in Texas. I didn't play with that. You know, if you came in and the little girl, you know, saying a little thing out of order, out of line, disrespectful, I was gonna write up and send it to the principal's office. I don't care how light it was, because I couldn't play with that, because that can turn around, especially if she's got a little insecurity there, and turn around and become something very dangerous for me in my life. And I knew if you get that stain on you, it's hard to get that off of you. Even if it's proven in the court of law that you are innocent, it's hard to get that off. And so that's why pastors have to be very careful in this regard. But I want to also go to this right here. They said that he was transparent. He was transparent, but this is coming out now that you did this for 5 years to a little girl. You were transparent. Transparency that this happened should have meant that you should have never stayed there. This is something that would hurt whatever ministry you're a part of. And if that church would have known that you had this in your past, would they have accepted you? Any pastor that says that they have this level of indiscretion in their past, will any church accept them? No. No church is going to accept you, because this is bad. This is real bad. So how transparent were you that we found out all these years later that this is what went on? How transparent were you? You were transparent in the moment, but moving forward, you told nobody. Even your church now is surprised and shocked by it. You know, you told nobody. And if there was some level of reconciliation that needed to happen, I believe that if that was the only one, and I'm praying that was the only thing that went on here. And it just makes me want to pray hard for people in leadership, but also pray hard for those who are in leadership that are doing wrong. I pray for those who you shepherd, because we don't want these things to happen, especially to our babies, but we don't want this to happen at all. Let me be real here and repeat. This is bad, and we don't want this to happen at all. But unfortunately, there are pastors out there who are predators. And I pray for them, especially those, and I want to speak to this regard here, because we like to talk and meet each point on all perspectives. And for those who have been in that area, been caught in that area, and God had, you know, paid for your price, and you've come out, the penalty and the burden that you're going to have to bear is going to go on. I mean, I know that's registering as a sex offender and different things like that. And that's a different level of thing that you have to carry because of those actions. All of us have consequences for our actions. And I pray that God continue to heal not only the victims, but those who are predators, deliver those who are predators, so we don't have stories like this. Y'all, this actually happens a lot more often than we will admit. That's why it's a dangerous thing at churches. You can't even let kids go to the bathroom by themselves. That's a liability for a ministry that will allow its children to go to the restroom by themselves. I mean, you got to look at all kind of things. I know I'm a senior pastor and I understand all of this. You got to be careful with these babies around here. And so I want to ultimately know, what do you think about this? What do you think about this whole thing with Robert Morris? Because according to Texas, Texas ain't finna play with him if this indeed is what happened, because there's all kind of things that Texas has. Texas Penal Code. All these Texas penal codes. I was just looking at a few of them. Texas Penal Code 43.25. That's there. You got all of them. Wow. Indecency with a child, all kind of stuff. Because I wanted to take a look at the legal aspects of it, and yeah, Texas is real. And so I just wanted to look at those penalties and different things of that nature. And this is going to be a fight. But what do you think about this whole situation? Because I believe it sheds a light on how old sin, hello, Tony Evans, he said old sin, how old sin, what's done in the darkness will come to the light. And I want to know, what do you think about this regard? Jump in the comment section and let's talk about Pastor Robert Morris and what happened here and what he's admitted to. Let's go.